Good evening, Source Nation, and welcome to Healthy Cooking with me, Chef Keith. This is a show where I will show you how to prepare healthy meals, but before I go any further, let me thank our sponsors who have made this show possible, and they are Scott's Care Foundation, that's Scott's Cares with an S Foundation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Urban Grandstand Digital, Cat Photography, Hits Masters, New Covenant of Praise Worship Center, and PS Photography. And we do have a tasty one for you today. Very simple, but very tasty. There's a few compound flavors in here. But basically what we're going to have is shrimp linguine pasta with white wine, lemon, and peppercorn sauce. We're also going to make this dish, and show you how to make this dish without eating shrimp, for those of you who don't eat shellfish, and also for those of you who are just eating the vegetables as well. Ought to be very tasty today. Now, first of all, I know before a lot of you get real frustrated, it's going to involve actually peeling some shrimp. And as you can see, I have my shrimp in a nice cold bath here. We want to make sure that we don't have our shrimp sitting out, getting into room temperature or anything like that. You want to be careful and also practice healthy cooking habits. Now, there really is an art to peeling the shrimp. You just want to open up the shell in the back a little bit, pinch on the tail, and everything should come off very simply. Now, as you can see in this particular video, I'm actually making a bowl. I got a bowl going here of the shells. And I know a lot of people, when they make scampi and things like that, they like to keep the shells on. There's a lot of flavor in the shell, not from a eating standpoint, but just from a flavoring standpoint. But what I'm going to do is actually keep the shells, because I have another plan for them a little bit later. So, shrimp, I remember growing up, shrimp used to be one of those real expensive things to eat. And, from years ago up until maybe the last 15 years, did you realize the most popular seafood that was eaten by most people in America was actually tuna? Canned tuna fish was the most popular seafood, and almost everybody had that in their house. And me personally, every time I go shopping, I actually purchase maybe 2 or 3 cans of tuna fish. It actually has a pretty good shelf life because it's not raw. You can get your quick little protein, so that's something you might want to do. Kind of stock up on things. Canned goods and things like that are very important, for the future of survival, because hard times do hit. But I'm only mentioning that because of the whole shrimp aspect of it, because this used to be more of a delicacy and the average person could not afford shrimp. However, times have changed, and now the most popular seafood that's being eaten today is actually shrimp, believe it or not. More people have access to it. So a bag like this, this is actually a 3-pound bag that I'm using, and in the 3-pound bag, it might sound like a lot. I take that back. This is actually a 2-pound bag I'm using. But in the first dish, I'm only going to use half of that, because I want to actually make this dish for 3. Now, I will be making 2 extra servings of it for a total of 5, but in this particular episode, I will be just making it for 3. Now, there's nothing else in this water, just some ice, and like I said, you want to keep them cold. They were frozen, so the ice is kind of keeping the process down so that we can get a nice even thaw. Usually when you want your shrimp to thaw out, maybe you do it the night before when you get ready. But if you can set them down in some ice, in some cold water, actually, they can thaw out. You want a slow process, but like I said, you don't want them sitting out too long. So after they thaw out, just put them back into the refrigerator. And it's really just that simple. Now, I know you're like, hey, Keith, what's up? You spend all this time talking about shrimp and peeling shrimp, but believe it or not, this is the majority of this entire cooking technique and show is actually to get the shrimp out of the shell and ready to go. So here we go. We got everybody nice, quick, peeled and ready to go. And presto, like I said, you just want to keep this bowl next to it with your shells. Now this is a little technique that I'm using. I'm going to give you guys a little insider on some of my trade secrets. And as you can see here, I have actually taken all the shrimp shells and I've actually added some dry thyme to them, a little bit of salt to the water to season the water. And I'm basically going to use a strainer technique here where I'm going to sit the strainer down. I mean, you could actually drop the shells into this, into the water, but I like to do it this way because I don't have to worry about fishing them out. So I set the shrimp shells down inside the strainer here, and I'm just going to heat the water up rapidly. And what it's going to do is basically cook those shells. You're going to get into the same color as basically cooked shrimp. They're going to get that nice opaque pink color, and it's going to create our own shrimp broth for our linguine. And of course, we got good old Mr. Cast iron skillet ready to go. It's hot, not white hot. You know, there's actually a term when using a cast iron skillet called being white hot. That's when you want to use for your blackening techniques in a serious sear. That's when you heat it up to the point where the actual skillet itself will turn white. And that is where you get all your good searing and flavor into the pan. So what I'm going to do now is just drop some simple butter in here. Yummy. You see how it's hitting, and it's immediately disintegrating. All right, gone. Nice little flavor technique here. We're just going to hit it right down that cast iron skillet. Now I promise everybody I will show you how to season your skillet up pretty soon. I'm actually using a different type of oil here. It's actually sunflower oil for this particular dish, but you know, you can go whatever. So you can see we add a little oil to the butter when we're cooking with it for the simple fact that butter will burn, and so what the oil has is a high smoke point, so it won't burn as quickly. So if you can add the oil with the butter, you basically can flavor the oil without burning the butter in the process. So as you can see, everything is ready to go, nice and hot. What we're going to do here, so in goes our guest of honor. That's our shrimp. We're going to lay everything on this side here. It shouldn't take too long to cook. Once I got the skillet heated up, I actually turned it down at this point to start it off very quickly, but not to finish it off quickly, because shrimp don't take that long to cook. And so what you don't want to do is serve them undercooked, but at the same time, you want to be careful that you can use this entire process to cook the shrimp and not overcook them. You know, so cooking them too fast could be a bad thing, depending on how you're doing it, maybe frying and things like that. But this particular dish, we're going to actually take the shrimp out of the pan in the process, and then we're going to put them back in later to finish the cooking process. So we're going to cook them through, just not too fast. Now, actually, after they hit the oil, you see they get a nice color and coating from the oil and the butter. So we're getting that flavor into shrimp right away. But I'm going to actually flip everything one time. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have a nice little coating of oil and butter now. Which is, I'm very meticulous in the way that I'm doing this, because now with the oil on the opposite side of, look, these shrimp don't want to cooperate today, but it's okay, we're going to get this done. Now I can actually season the shrimp with just a little salt and pepper. We're not going to use too much here because when we use the peppercorn and the white wine and things like that, we don't want to have too many flavors basically going on here. We want to keep it as straightforward as possible, because remember, we can always add to and never take away. So just a little salt and pepper, just a few sprinkles, just to season them. And once they get that nice gloss from the butter and the oil, it's easier to season. Now the season will stick to the shrimp, and you don't have to really do anything else to them. So you know, we're just letting those guys get all happy and sizzling and bubbling in this pan, and everything looks ready to go. But also keep in mind, you want to turn them down at this point because we do not want to cook them too fast, because we will be adding them back to the pan shortly once we take them out. So we don't want to make them too overdone or risk burning them. Now we'll move over to our chopping station. Of course, many of you know I seem to add onions to pretty much every single thing that I prepare. I think onions are the perfect addition to almost any dish, and you know, and like I said, we talked about it, fresh veggies, things like that, you want to add them as many as you could. I know a lot of people use onion powder a lot, and maybe on occasion I'll use onion powder, but I found out that using a nice onion is always great in cooking. Now, one thing I will do different this time is I'm actually going to mince the onion here, and you know, this little technique is not difficult. It just takes a little bit of practice, but you can dice and mince the onion very simply once you get your little practice in. So what I'm going to do is dice everything fine here, make it nice little pieces. I don't want big chunks in this dish, and you realize that in our first 3 recipes that we've done on healthy eating here at Source Radio Network, I've actually used onions 3 different ways. So there's a rough chop, and we've also made them into nice thick thin pieces, but now we're going to actually mince them up into little bitty pieces of onion, so they'll be nice and small and crunchy. I'm not going to overcook these onions. I actually want them to be a little crunchy. You know me, I like to add a little crunch to these dishes. Now, I got some red cherry tomatoes. They're in season right now, so the price is fantastic for them. I actually got these 2 for $5. So with the shrimp that I use for the 2-pound bag of shrimp, I actually got that bag of shrimp for $13, which is a good price. We got these cherry tomatoes, 2 for $5, right? But we're not even going to use all of the first one. Now, for those of you who are making this dish meatless, you want to substitute the shrimp for mushrooms. You can use nice hearty mushrooms instead of the shrimp and use all the same ingredients for the dish here. But I am just chopping, getting these cherry tomatoes ready to go, and I'm going to make them nice big chunks of tomatoes to give it a nice sweet flavor and also to give it a nice color as well. I've actually removed all the shrimp out of the pan now, and what I did was actually at this point I've added a 1/4 cup of white wine, and I've added a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. You can use fresh squeezed lemon juice. I think this dish will actually be better if you use lemon slices. You got yourself a fresh lemon, you slice it up, and you cook the lemon down into this portion of the dish. Now, what I'm going to do with a spatula, of course, we know with that white wine, it helps you clean off the dish, the pan here, this cast iron skillet, and I'm just going to move all the tasty, well-seasoned, flavory bits off the bottom of the pan, just so it'll add to the sauce itself. Now, of course, you see I am going 3, count it, 3 minced cloves of garlic, white wine, lemon juice. Oh, you're talking about an amazing, amazing smell here. So we're just going to drop that garlic right down into the nice little sauce that we're preparing here. And it's not going to be a thick sauce. It's going to be something more subtle. I'm sprinkling in peppercorns. Now, this part is optional. Now you can see why I didn't season everything a lot the first time around. I used the little peppercorns. They have this nice flavor. It's like an aftertaste that I believe is amazing. You can actually modify this, how many peppercorns you want to use, or use a couple of teaspoons. Everybody's not a big fan of it, but I actually like them, and sometimes they can be considered too hot or too spicy, but my kids ate these and they thought it was amazing. So We didn't overdo it this time, but right here you're looking at garlic, you're looking at white wine, you're looking at the bits from the frying of the shrimp, the pan-sear of the shrimp, and also what you're going to do here, add your peppercorns, and yes, that's right, we're going to get our green leafy vegetables in here as well. I'm just going to add the spinach. Once the white wine and lemon juice kind of marry and cook down, I'm going to drop the spinach right down on that, and we're going to let that wilt a little bit. That is actually going to create the total sauce. So what I'm doing now is moving right over here to our water that was been heating up, that basically we've been cooking our shells in our fresh thyme, our shrimp shells, and in salted water. Here we have actually made our own homemade shrimp seafood broth. And you can actually, I can show you many ways to make many different broths. You can actually homemade, recently I was using boiling cubes, but I can always show you how to make your own broths. And this is one way. You can actually do this to create your broths, then let them cool down, store them in a jar, and you can keep them in your refrigerator, and you can have your own homemade broths. And it's really nice to do, and they last a long time, especially if you add enough salt to them. So I'm just going to finish over here with my spinach, and you see, ooh, peppercorn, everything just cooking down here together. The spinach is absorbing all those fresh flavors here, and we're just cooking everything down. And like I said, this will be the basis of our sauce. And once we add everything and mix it all together, this is pretty much straightforward cooking. So here we go. We got a nice, hot, bubbly broth going on here. And like I said, it has all that great shrimp flavor in here with a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of thyme. Trust me, you guys should try this technique when it comes to cooking with pasta. And when you're cooking with anything, really, try to flavor your water. You don't have to over flavor. You don't have to add a lot of seasoning to it. But this is your only real time to flavor pasta when you're using it. This technique can be used also with rice, with beans. Flavoring your water is like a real insider quick trick to do any type of style cooking with water. But some of you just like, to keep it straightforward. But for those of you who are always looking for nice ideas and big flavors, start flavoring your water a little bit more before you put pasta and rice and things in there. It'll make your cooking go to the next level very, very, very easily. Now, you're going to sit your linguine in here. It's not going to take long. You just want to basically cook your pasta until it's al dente, which means it's tender to the bite. And so you basically want to look at how you like your pasta to be. But remember, people, do not, I repeat, do not put your pasta in the water when it is not hot and boiling. You will ruin your pasta. Also, to keep your water from bubbling over, add a cap full of oil to the top of the water and it will not boil over. Now, as you can see, here's our little pasta spoon or fork or whatever you call it. Most people don't know why it looks the way it does. They know that you can pick up pasta with it. But actually, the holes inside the pasta spoon or pasta fork, whatever you want to call it, actually can measure your pasta and actually hold it into place to let you know about servings. And also easier to remove out of water, that you can use it without a strainer. Bet some of you didn't know that, but hey, that's why Chef Keith is here. So, what I'm going to do is drop everybody down into the pool with our shrimp. Our spinach has cooked down, and we're just going to mix everything up. Look at that. See, everything just cooked together with the spinach, so we're not losing anything here. We still have some liquid in here as well. And that liquid, that very last amount of liquid, is going to be very, 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 very important to finishing this dish. Because now, basically, the spinach and that liquid that's left over from the white wine, the peppercorns, and the lemon juice right here is just kind of hanging around. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to dissolve. There's nothing but flavor. in this pan. Now look at our shrimp. They're just going to lay there in there, and now they're going to finish cooking. They were pretty much 90%. They actually, since you heat them up, they finish cooking when you take them out the pan, but we're going to make them nice and solid. And I added the minced onion here before I put the pasta in. I want to get a nice little crunch. And see, now I'm going to take that pasta out. It's ready to go. You can tell now that this dish is coming together, and I love when a plan comes together. And there we have our pasta laying right down on the shrimp, the onion, the spinach, the white wine, the lemon juice, the peppercorns. Everything is just melting together. This is a beautiful, beautiful, easy dish to make. Anybody that you know that can turn a stove on can make this dish. You guys watched it. You guys that are listening, when I say you guys, I'm talking about my Source Nation family. And they are looking at this right now saying, wow, that was easy. And yes, it was as easy as it looked to make. The hardest thing to do in this entire dish was just to take the shells off the shrimp, but everything is made just to a pot and a cast iron skillet. See, look at that. Beautiful. And I'm going to take, lastly, those tomatoes, drop them on the top, because I'm not even going to try to cook the tomatoes. I want them to remain the same way they are, nice and big and juicy, so that now we have all this color, so we don't have one bland looking dish, and we have all these wonderful colors. And like I said, if you want to make this dish vegetarian, just substitute the shrimp for mushrooms, or don't use the shrimp at all. And take the dish, because actually the first bowl I got here is actually made with no shrimp in it. My daughter just got braces, so she can't eat anything really too chewy. So I made her this dish so that she can actually eat pasta, because she loves pasta. And I flavored the pasta so that she can still have a taste of shrimp in it, and because that's what eggs do. They make kids happy for the kids. And so there you have it. The shrimp pasta. When I say shrimp pasta, shrimp linguine. Shrimp linguine with white wine and lemon peppercorn sauce. Just with sauteed spinach and some fresh cherry tomatoes. Yum, yum. And also don't forget, if you want to make this same dish meatless, you can. It's really just that simple. You can cook your mushrooms down. Remember, don't add salt to the mushrooms until they are cooked down or they will not brown. But you can make the same dish meatless as well. Just like I said, just start with your sauteed spinach first, and your garlic, your white wine, everything like that, and you can get this dish ready to go. So there you have it. Another simple meal. Now, wasn't that easy? And once you finish it up, you'll find out just how tasty it will be. But before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors who make this show possible. And that's Scott Cares Foundation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Cat Photography, Urban Grandstand Digital, Hits Masters, New Covenant of Praise Worship Center, and PS Photography. So tune in next week with the Source Radio Network with me, Chef Keith, as I'll show you how to make tasty and very affordable gourmet-style meals in your very own kitchen. Affordable, gourmet-style cooking is as close to you as you are to your kitchen. I'll see you next week.